All of the miracles listed in the Torah, I find manna to be the most intriguing. Described as heavenly grain and bread of the angels, manna provided the Israelites with food to sustain them during their many years of wandering in the desert. Without manna, the Israelites likely would not have survived. And yet, this miracle wasn't always appreciated as the blessing that it is. Manna was a food that was so nourishing that it was even absorbed in the limbs, teaches Mechilta to Rabbi Ishmael. It was incredibly tasty, and this one substance had the ability to taste like so many different kinds of food. According to the Zohar, it contained even sacred wisdom. It was a magical food on so many different levels. In this week's Torah portion, Eikev, manna is also described as a kind of test. Biblical scholar and teacher Nechama Leibowitz notes that usually a test or a trial is something to be borne, an unpleasant experience or burdensome duty. But this manna was a blessing, a source of not only sustenance, but a miraculous sustenance. And yet the Israelites were at times incredibly resistant to it. They claim there is nothing at all, nothing but manna to look to. They recall the feasts that they enjoyed in Egypt with great nostalgia, and they beg for meat. They wonder out loud why Moses would ever take them from Egypt to eat manna, temporarily forgetting the very real reasons that they left Egypt and failing to be grateful for this miraculous food that was provided to them by God. As it turns out, the manna was a test. Manna was a delicious food that sustained them in a way that nothing else could. And yet it was unfamiliar. Neither their parents or grandparents had ever tasted it. It felt strange eating something that fell from the sky. As the podcaster Tim Ferriss says, people would rather be unhappy than uncertain. And the Israelites were uncertain of this strange food. More than that, as they wandered in the desert, they were already in a place of discomfort, unsure of their future. They craved comfort foods, something familiar and known. Instead, they received manna. They received the chance to survive and thrive by letting go of the past and trying something new. Over their 40 years in the desert, Israelites had moments of weakness when they asked for anything else to eat but manna. Overall, however, they did eat this strange food. Perhaps they even came to enjoy it. As we read this Torah portion each year, we are reminded that everything is new at one point, that sometimes the greatest sources of sustenance come from places that we never could have imagined. Shabbat Shalom.